This is KGW News at noon.
Let the record show that the Senate acted today to compel the attendance of absent members.
The threat of fines did not work. Senate Republicans still refusing to show up, blocking any work from getting done. Thank you for joining us here at noon. I'm Christine Pitawanich. Starting today, senators will get hit with a $325 fine for each day they're not present. Senate President Rob Wagner announced the decision last week to fine lawmakers. It went into place today when there was no quorum. This Republican-led walkout is now the longest Oregon has ever seen. Most Republican senators have not shown up in over a month since May 3rd. They're upset about bills involving gender-affirming care, abortion, and guns. Democrats tried to fine Republicans during a walkout back in 2019, but never collected the fines after Republicans threatened to sue. And in national politics today, former Vice President Mike Pence officially filed paperwork to run for president. Pence is expected to formally kick off his campaign on Wednesday with a video and an event in Des Moines, Iowa. This sets up a showdown with former President Trump about 2 years after their term in the White House came to an end. Back in our area, we have an update about the Longview man who crashed down a ravine and spent 5 days in his truck. Peace Health Southwest confirms he has died. A friend went looking for 56-year-old Dan Stansberry back on May 21st after he'd been missing for several days. She noticed tire tracks on the road near his house and saw his truck at the bottom of the ravine. Fire crews set up a rope system and carried Stansberry up the 150-foot ravine. But despite efforts to treat his injuries in the hospital, Stansberry did not survive. And Portland police say there's no reason to believe the deaths of 6 women around the metro area are connected. This comes after 22-year-old Ashley Reel's body was found in rural Clackamas County last month. She was last seen in Portland. This marked the 6th death in the last 6 months within a 100-mile radius of Portland. Police say detectives are working with Clackamas County officials on that case. They're also investigating the death of Kristen Smith of Gresham. Her body was found in February in the Pleasant Valley neighborhood east of I-205. Meantime, in Vancouver, police are asking for your help to find a missing pregnant woman who hasn't been seen or heard of since the beginning of May. This is 31-year-old Kaylee Wheelis. She's 5'7", 150 pounds, and about 8 months pregnant. Investigators tell us Kaylee is homeless, and they're concerned for her and the baby's health. Anyone with information should contact the Vancouver Police Department. Well, a federal trial got underway today to determine if Measure 114 is constitutional. You may recall voters passed the gun control measure back in November, but it hasn't gone into effect due to lawsuits. Thomas Schultz has a preview of what to expect in court.
On Monday, a week-long trial begins in Portland on Measure 114 to determine if a voter-passed measure restricting gun ownership is constitutional.
The crux of our defense for large capacity magazines are that they're not arms at all, protected by the Second Amendment because they're accessories.
Zach Bakalis, a partner at Pacifica Law Group, argues Measure 114 is constitutional because the United States has a long tradition of restricting dangerous weapons and accessories. Proponents of Measure 114 say the Second Amendment gives law-abiding citizens the right to use commonly used firearms for self-defense. But they say 99% of lawful self-defense cases involve 3 gunshots or less, much less than Measure 114's ban on magazines that hold more than 10 rounds.
We're extremely confident that after a 5-day trial, we're going to prevail and Measure 114 will be able to move forward and be implemented.
Bend City Council member Anthony Broadman, a fellow proponent of Measure 114, says Bend is still grieving from an August shooting at a Safeway where 2 people were killed by a 20-year-old gunman. He says the shooter used an AR-style firearm with a high-capacity magazine. Broadman believes this policy could change future outcomes.
It is a set of common-sense gun safety policies that will reduce violence, will save lives by keeping guns out of hands that shouldn't have them.
In the federal lawsuit against Measure 114, opponents say the potential policy violates Second Amendment rights. Lawyers representing the Oregon Firearms Federation say millions of law-abiding Americans own firearms with more than 10 rounds. They say there is nothing novel or unusual about the technology. The Oregon Association of Sheriffs agrees.
We recognize that we must address firearm violence, but Measure 114 is just not the answer.
That was Thomas Schultz reporting. Lawyers expect the trial to last until Friday, but think it may be weeks or even months until a ruling is issued. Meanwhile, a Harney County judge's temporary restraining order against Measure 114 is expected to stay in place until September. Okay, let's check in with meteorologist Rod Hill. Rod, it is dry out there. 21 days without rain, right?
Yeah, 3 weeks. I mean, just like that. And the story continues to be, Christine, that we don't see a lot of rain over the next couple of weeks. We don't see any rain this coming week here on the west side of our state. We'll talk more about that coming up. So here we are with sunshine. Might as well enjoy it, right? We have clear skies up and down the coast and in the valley. This is our Chinook Winds Casino Resort Cam in Lincoln City, which has showing a temperature currently of 65 degrees. The winds have been bouncing around like we've seen the last couple of days. So at noon, Newport a north wind to 26, north winds gusting to 31, Salem north to 23, Kelso to 22. We've seen peak wind gusts in the valley, generally 30, 35 miles per hour. So that type of thing. The breeze feels nice. That'll be happening throughout your afternoon hours. Here's downtown Portland. Thought we'd be 71 or 72 at noon. We're 74. So we're running certainly on target to break into the 80s. I have us 85 at 4 o'clock, and then still 80 degrees with clear skies and breezy north winds for you this evening. Coming up, we'll talk more about this. Thunderstorms in about the past hour have just exploded around Lakeview, up around Burns, just south of Bend. So the forecast coming up includes that activity. We'll get more into this dry weather that we're having. And guess what returns tomorrow? 90-degree temperatures. That's ahead of my 7-day.
Okay, thank you, Rod. One of Oregon's most influential tribal leaders was honored at a place she helped build, Spirit Mountain Casino. Catherine Harrison died a little over a week ago. Harrison fought for the rights and restoration of 2 Oregon tribes. Devin Haskins has her story and the legacy she leaves behind.
The sounds of drums and song fill the room at the Spirit Mountain Casino. Voices carry the tune of Catherine Harrison's life. From family members,
we have great memories, and we just need to keep telling them.
To tribal leaders.
When we look at where the tribe was and where we are today, we do owe a great debt of gratitude.
And politicians.
Catherine Harrison was a woman known and respected statewide in Oregon.
Almost everyone here was in some way touched by her life.
That's the way she always was, is she cared more about people than herself.
In the 1970s, 20 years after 61 tribes in Oregon lost federal recognition, Catherine Harrison made restoration for them her mission.
And if it weren't for her, we Silettes had a difficult time being restored. But restoring the Grand Round tribe was a great feat, and we owe her family for lending us Catherine for all these years.
She testified in front of Congress and helped not only the Silettes tribe, but also got federal recognition back for her own.
Restoration was really a vision of the heart. I believe sent by our Creator to help our people come into what He planned for us. And she was one of those leaders.
More than a leader, but a visionary. In 1995, she helped establish a gaming contract for the Spirit Mountain Casino.
That contract set up the most successful tribal casino in the Northwest.
Carrie Timchuk, executive director of the Oregon Historical Society, says Harrison was a friend of his for more than 2 decades. Someone he says didn't let her short height ever get in the way of what she wanted.
Persistence. She just didn't give up. I mean, there were many times, many opportunities where she could have given up, where there was too many hurdles in the road.
Catherine Harrison was 99 years old. I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
Well, coming up, a return to normal at Dove Lewis that will help pet owners dealing with emergencies. Plus.
And jokingly, I outside this, I say I got about 200 to 300 babies, and they're all my kids.
You know what? She helps take good care of all the students there at Rosa Parks Elementary. Meet the hero custodian who jumped into action when she saw one of her kids in trouble.